Hello and welcome to CS230. This is lecture 14 and lesson 5. And in this particular lesson now I'm going to talk about testing the database interaction with Node.js and MySQL. Previously we looked at using PHP to query and do some work, and we were able to show how we can take the queries that we've written manually and embed them in code and do some manipulation in order to be and produce some nice outputs as well for our display. So really we want to do something similar now with Node.js and MySQL. Now Node.js is a different kind of architecture to PHP, and PHP itself is a templating, so we can actually produce a template and then we can embed the code in the template. So with Node.js it's a little bit different. So we're going to try to build and make our app a bit more like and you would expect a Node.js app to run. So we're going to use a library called Express in this particular one. We'll do in a little bit more detail in a few lectures time. But I like it because it does all of that work to set up the HTTP servers for us and allows us to be able to have the various routes. And so what we'll do now is we'll just create a route. And we talked about these in 2 lectures ago, just to show the customers and just to show the addresses, and then do some work in terms of insertions and so forth. In terms of producing the tables and the HTML output for the table, we're going to actually use something called Jade, which used to be called Pug. Okay, and that's a way to actually it works with Express, and it allows us to build a template for a view, and we did views, of course, when we did model view controllers, and it's a nice thing to do, and it's called templating your views, really. And so here's a quick example of the kind of things that we will do and use within Node.js. Okay, so this allows us to be able to create an app, okay, that we run on a port, and it sits there using a HTTP GET request looks for /customers, and what it does, it just does a query on the customers, and then it renders a view with the data that comes back from the customers table via this query. So it's nice and clean and straightforward. And this then is how we want to actually lay out a table. So we say, we're going to extend an existing layout for the overall page, and where this is a block content that we're going to insert a div, a paragraph. We're going to bold a customer table. Here's a table that has a header. These are the headers that we know already, and then for every item that we pass through up here to the rendering method, we write out the various date. Now I have a little bit of manipulation of the dates to make it look a bit nicer, okay, in Node.js. Okay, so that's it for most of the core activities to perform database exercises are going to be the same as we did with PHP, but we need to use that kind of Node.js backend style of programming in order to make it work. So what I'll do first is show you it working, and then we'll dig into the code. But we need to do a couple of things first, because remember last time we manipulated this table and we generate some extra data for Leela. So we want to get rid of this data and get back to where we were. So I need to delete this record. So I'm just going to copy this, because this particular piece of timestamp. I'm going to go to the SQL. I'm going to delete, and this is kind of handy, So we'll delete from the customer address. And we're going to where is equal to, and we'll go. Yes, I really want to delete this, so it's good. Okay, and we just browse and ensure that we're just got Lucas's data here, which is fine. Okay, so now we'll go back and delete the customer information for Layla. Let's get rid of her details. So she's gone from the database, and now let's make sure Layla's address is gone. Yep, she's gone. She's still there, sorry. Now she's gone. Okay, so we're back to where we were at the beginning. So this is fine, and we have now we want to do is be able to look at our app using Node.js. So this time we'll run the program here, and it's a Node.js connect test rather than the PHP test, and we'll have a quick look at the code. Okay, so this is the code. It's not too long, it's fairly straightforward. Okay, so I'm using Express, and I needed to install that using npm install Express. Again, I have my login credentials are separate to the actual program itself. I'm setting up a view engine called Jade, and I did an npm install Jade as well. Now we're setting up this route to get the customers, select start from customer, setting up the addresses to get the address, and I'm setting up some functions then just to get customers, to get addresses, get physical addresses, all of that stuff, because I want to render multi-table views, and that's a bit complex. You have to use middleware with Express in order to be able to do that, so you can chain a whole bunch of these things you'd like to be able to do. So we'll get cracking on that. So let's run the program. Okay, and it's all going to run on port 3000. Okay, so we're setting the server up running on 3000. Okay, and we'll run this from the command line over here. Yeah, and we should get a message that tells us the customer address database app is listening on localhost 3000 now. Okay, so that's good. Let's go to Vivaldi and let's point to that, and we're going to look at customers table. And you'll see that I have something here on the command line that's telling me the detail that for Lucas, and then I have a table that looks pretty much the same as we did last time with our PHP. Let's look at the address, and we can see the addresses, and it's as we were. We have it working here. We're seeing the raw data, and we're also seeing the table. Now it becomes a bit more complex if you want to do multiple views simultaneously. So let's see what we did when we looked at the code. So the code we had to do this, we want to render and look at a customer view when we've inserted a new customer. So here's a new customer, and we're inserting. So what do we need to do? We need to do all of this work here. Okay, so insert into a customer, create a new customer, and we're going to look at the various addresses and so forth. So here's the step. So for insertion, we want to get the customers, we want to get their addresses, we want to get their physical addresses, then we want to render the customers and their addresses after we do this. Okay, so I think that should be fine. So have I actually done any insertions in this particular one here? Nope, I haven't. But let's look at this first one, because this is just a test to look at multiple tables to be sure that works. So we'll do that first, and we'll change the way insert works afterwards. Okay, so let's go up, have a look at insert. We're not actually inserting; we're just checking, I think. Okay, so yeah, so we have, and we were able to reproduce the kinds of tests that we did last time with the PHP app. So now we'll just change that, okay, and make it work a little bit differently. And we'll chain to actually do some insertions. Okay, we'll probably just insert the address and see what happens. Can we get a second address? Okay, let me do that. Let me go back to my code, and we comment out this one, and we'll use this particular one. And remember, I have all the methods written already up here for various rendering. And we will then look at what I've probably done is I've just generated a new customer. Yes, I remember what I did here. I'm inserting a new address, a new address for this particular person, and then we work from there. Okay, but let's go there, restart our service, kill this one over here, and just restart it. Okay, and let's see what happens now when we type insert. Okay, so yeah, I've inserted Leila, okay, which is good. That worked. That's what we hope to do. And again, we were able to pull out and get the ID for Leila here as well. Now let's do it again. And we would hope that we'd get an error, okay, because that's what we expect. Oh yeah, I'm getting an error, but I'm doing it silently. Yeah, if we go and look at the code, and we'll see that we will get an error. Nothing happens. It didn't create it. I just didn't actually, because here is the error. Okay, we need to put the error in here, and so you could have something that comes to the output. So maybe we'll just do this here. See if that works for us. Let's go back and start it again. Okay, let's do our insertion thing. And we got an error, okay, because we couldn't do it. Now we could elaborate and we could write and produce a new view and all that kind of stuff, but I decided not to do that this time. And of course, we're not seeing anything because we had no rendering for that particular error, which we'd have to write a render function that sits in here as well and generate a render, an error page. And I think I've shown somewhere where you could do that in the app. Did I? No, I didn't, but anyway, we can do that fairly easily. It's not too difficult. Oh yeah, here's an error page. Okay, so we can render an error as well. So there's an error view in Jade that will work as well. Okay, but really, I suppose the point to note is that we can do all of the same things that we want with our Node.js than we could that we could do with our PHP. So it doesn't matter. There are different styles and structures of programs. I know for your current assignment, you're not to use Express. I want you to build CRUD activity manually, but so you would have to manually write some code in order to be able to generate this kind of table directly in JavaScript rather than utilizing some template with Pug. But if you found a way of using Pug without using Express or some other templating method, then that would be okay too. Okay. So that's the end of the lecture, and this is the final lesson. We covered an awful lot of material, but in this time again we looked at interacting with the database with Node.js and MySQL. We used a middleware approach. Actually, it's quite tricky to do if you haven't used this before, so don't worry if you don't understand it, but like, you can run the programs, and you can always contact me and ask me if you've got any questions. And as before, all of the code and all of the lesson data, all of the examples, I'll zip everything up and make it available for you so you can do your own practice. Thank you very much for watching.